Files this exclusive report with Rick Rowley of Big Noise Films.
I'm not just remembering the scene, I'm reliving it as if it were happening now. I will never forget those few minutes. So whatever you ask me, I will answer with absolute clarity. All I could hear from my car were gunshots and the sound of glass shattering, and the sound of tires blown out with bullets. I started to scream, "They killed my son, they killed my son." What can I tell you? It was like the end of days. With cold blood and stone hearts, they continued shooting.
Baghdad, September 16, 2007. Shortly before noon, a convoy of 4 armored vehicles departs the Green Zone, the heavily fortified U.S. base in Iraq. The men inside of the vehicles were elite private soldiers working for Blackwater. Their code name, Raven 23. The men had defied orders from their superiors to remain in the Green Zone and proceeded onto the streets of Baghdad. As they departed, they were again told to return to base. They didn't. Within minutes, Blackwater Raven 23 would arrive at the congested Baghdad intersection known as Nisour Square. 15 minutes later, at least 17 Iraqi civilians would be dead, more than 20 others wounded, in a shooting that would go down in infamy as Baghdad's Bloody Sunday. You probably have never heard his name, but you likely know something about how 9-year-old Ali Mohammed Hafed Kanani died. He was the youngest person killed by Blackwater forces at Nisour Square. To this day, Blackwater has never faced justice for killing Ali and the other Iraqis that day, but his father Mohammed, who was with Ali in the square, is determined to change that.
I want the truth. I want the truth to be known and the criminals punished.
This is the story of the death of young Ali Kinanis, and his father has provided us with the most detailed eyewitness account of the Nisour Square massacre ever given to a U.S. media outlet. Mohammed Hafed Abdulrazak Kanani and his wife Fatima lived with their 3 children in Baghdad. Mohammed ran his family's auto parts business, and he adored his youngest son Ali, whom the family affectionately called by his kid nickname Alawi.
He would sleep on my arm. He was 9.5 years old, but still slept on my arm. He had his own room, but he never slept alone. When he turned 9, I told him it was time to stop using my arm as his pillow. I said, "Son, you're getting older. Go sleep with your brothers, on your bed in your room." Your name is Ali. We used to call you Alawi, but you'll be a man soon. So he said, "As you wish, Father." He always said that. So I looked and saw his feet under the door. I called him in. He opened the door and said, "Dad, I'm Alawi, not Ali." He was telling me that he's still a child. After that, he kept sleeping on my arm. It was the only pillow he ever had.
When U.S. forces rolled into Baghdad in April of 2003, Mohammed proudly took his son to greet the men he called their liberators, the U.S. military. Mohammed was that rare personification of the neoconservative narrative about the U.S. invasion.
The first day the American army entered Baghdad, I handed out juice and candy in the street to celebrate our liberation from Saddam.
Before September 16, 2007, Mohammed had never heard of Blackwater. Now he thinks of them and that day every waking moment. He remembers that Ali was not supposed to be in his car that day. Mohammed had just pulled away from his family's home on his way to pick up his sister Janan and her children for a visit. Ali came running out of the house.
He was quiet the whole ride. But then we passed a newly built park, a garden. So he turned to me and asked, "Daddy, when are you going to bring us here?" I told him, "Next week, hopefully, if God wills it."
Mohammed and Ali picked up Janan and her 3 children and made their way back home. The return journey would bring them through Nisour Square. When Mohammed found himself in a traffic jam at the square that day, he thought it was a U.S. military checkpoint. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary to him when he saw the armored vehicles block off traffic.
One of the guards gestured towards us with his hands. This gesture means stop, so we stopped. I and all the cars in front and behind me stopped. We followed their orders. At that point, I didn't even know they were Blackwater. I didn't know it was a security company. I thought it was some sort of American Army unit, or maybe a military police unit. In any case, we followed their orders.
As Mohammed and his family waited in the SUV, the man in the car next to them was frantic. "I think someone was shot in that car in front of you," he told Mohammed. It was then Mohammed watched in horror as Blackwater gunners, for no apparent reason, blew up a white Kia sedan in front of his eyes. Inside, Mohammed would later learn, were a young Iraqi medical student and his mother.
There was absolutely no shooting or any sign of danger for us or Blackwater. No one was in the slightest danger. Suddenly, in the flash of a second, they started shooting in all directions. And it wasn't warning shots. They were shooting as if they were fighting in the field. By the time they stopped shooting, the car looked like a sieve. This is the only way to describe it, because it was truly riddled with bullets. They finished with the first car and turned their guns on us. It turned into the apocalypse.
As chaos and blood flooded the square, Mohammed remembers the fate of one man in particular who tried to flee the Blackwater gunmen.
Everyone was trying to escape. Whoever wasn't shot dead in their car just wanted to escape somehow. When one man tried to run, they shot him. He dropped dead on the spot. He was on the ground, bleeding, and they were shooting non-stop. They shot like they were trying to kill everyone they could see. He sank into his own blood. And every minute, they would go back and shoot him again, and I could see his body shake with every bullet. He was dead, but his body shook with the bullets. He would shoot at someone else, and then go back to shooting at this dead man. This man is dead, in a pool of blood. Why would you keep shooting him?
As Mohammed sat in his SUV with his 9-year-old son Ali, his sister Janan, and her 3 children, he realized that for them, attempting to escape was not an option. As the shooting intensified, Mohammed yelled for the kids to get down. He and Janan did the same.
Bullets were coming from the right and the left. My younger sister was trying to cover me with her body, so I pulled out of her grip and covered her with my body to protect her. I have pictures that show the headrest of my sister's seat is full of bullet holes. It was horrific, extremely terrifying. I still wake up from sleep, startled. Why, I ask. Why would they do this? We were civilians sitting in our cars. Most of the cars had families in them, so why did this happen? I kept hearing boom, boom, boom in my car. Bullets were flying everywhere. It was horrific, horrific. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. After they had killed everyone in sight, my sister and I kept still. I had her rest her head on my lap, and my body was on top of her. We would sneak to peek from under the dashboard. They continued, shooting here and there, killing this and that one. Then it cleared. Nothing was moving on the street. Only the Blackwater men were moving. Then they drove off.
It seemed to Mohammed like a miracle had blessed his car.